that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio. Head over on Tuesday, July 2nd for the Kevin McMahon Band, and on Wednesday, July 3rd, it's Mick Butler. Music runs from 5:30 to 8 p.m., and reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended. On the 4th of July, there's no music, but they're open regular hours. The Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, live music and outdoor fun are back at the Park Tavern.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hello, and welcome to Searching for Service. I'm your host, Chad Larson. I want to thank our sponsor, Rotary District 5950 and Russell Hampton Company, the #1 printer of rotary gear in the country. And before I dive into our guest today, I want to remind you of our show's mission. The mission of the show is to share stories of service that inspire people to serve, and also to tell stories of how Rotaries help people serve and how you can join and be a part of Rotary. So with that, I want to welcome Joe Swalve, the co-founder of and current president for one more day of the Pride Rotary Club of the Twin Cities. Did I say that right?
You did. Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome, Joe. First, before we get into, stuff about Pride Rotary, we want to get to know you a little bit. So, how long have you lived in the Twin Cities? And what, if you're new to it, what brought you here?
Well, I was actually born and raised here in town. I graduated from Apple Valley High School. I went to Bethel University, and I've been in town my whole life. I actually live in Lyndhurst in Minneapolis.
Oh, very close. Yeah, I'm no different. I mean, I was gone for a couple of years for college, but not very far. So. What do you do for work?
So I'm a private mortgage banker at Wells Fargo.
Very cool. So, the reason we're having you join us today is you're the founder of the Pride Rotary Club and now the current president. But tell us how you started the club and why, and just that whole story, please.
So for me, as I said, I went to Bethel University. So I am a Baptist boy, and I actually came out January 1 of 21.
Wow.
And as I'm coming out, I had a dear friend that said, you know what, have you thought about Rotary? And I was like, maybe. Yeah. And then all of a sudden conversation started, and it was, what if we started a Pride Club? And it was one of those things that I was like, not quite sure if I'm there yet, but we did it.
Yeah.
And actually my public coming out was actually our initial launch of the club. Wow. And it was our inaugural toast to Rotary.
Wow. That's incredible. I want to hear more about that. So how did you come out? I'm sure maybe to some friends, but how did you do that publicly, and then as you're founding something? So just tell that story.
So for me, it was definitely, I wanted to definitely help. I was helping raise my siblings. So I wanted to get them through graduating high school. And then at that point in time, it was ready for me to start examining what I wanted my life to be like.
Yeah.
My gender attraction template I've known my whole life was I was attracted to men. And it was one of those things that I know for me, I had to unwind where I was at from a religious standpoint, and then start that self-accepting process. Yeah. And then, so as we were getting ready to launch the club, and I was going to give the inaugural toast. So for those that don't know, at most Rotary meetings, there's either an invocation, a prayer. We really want to be at Minnesota Pride non-religious and non-political.
Yep.
So we decided to change that into a toast for the day.
That's very cool.
So I actually brought my toast to actually read to you all.
I'd love to hear.
All right. So this was my public coming out.
Wow.
I re-recorded it afterwards. I posted it to Facebook, and at that point in time,
You're out.
there's no going back.
Yeah, you're out.
There's no going back. So this was my inaugural toast. Steve Jobs said, "Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can disagree. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Cheers to those who've come before us, blazing the path forward for equity, inclusion, and equality. We have arrived. Let's intentionally leave the past in the past, using past hurts and traumas as the inspiration for the journey that's allowed us to arrive here today as equal humans, not identified by the gender we're attracted to or identify as, but based on our humanity. We walk forward with confidence and pride that we have arrived, judged by our character, kindness, compassion, and generosity as we serve our communities, both locally and internationally. Cheers to us, the crazy ones, the ones who push the human race forward, for we are the ones who will change the world. Cheers to the founding of the Minnesota Pride Rotary Club. Cheers to Rotary.
Wow. Goosebumps.
Thank you.
How, when you read that originally, I know it wasn't spur of the moment for you, but when you read that aloud for the first time to everybody, what were your emotions? I mean, was it a relief? Was it?
I was scared to death.
Or?
I mean, it's interesting when you know that there's no going backwards,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I never wanted to ever go back into the closet.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us don't want to be defined by a box. We don't want to be put into, this is what you're supposed to do. It really becomes, we want to be individual humans.
Yeah.
And that's where, when you take it into founding the club, it was this wonderful ability to kind of look at things from a different lens of, what if we don't do it the traditional way? What if we go at everything just a little differently?
Yeah, that's incredible. And I want to ask more, about the founding of the club, but I just have, especially being here at Pride, this is time to tell the truth. Your truth is. So after that happened, and then you posted it on Facebook, and now, like you said, no going back. But what were the next moments, days, like just walk us through that a little bit.
So for me, it was, people were unbelievably kind. I would say that I was probably the last to admit that I was gay. Yeah. Everybody, yeah. I mean, I'm people the guy that has the candelabra chandelier next to his grand piano.
Yeah.
How many straight guys can really say that? I would say, truly, there's only been probably 2 people that have been unkind and unloving.
Yeah.
And for me, it was one of those things that I definitely have realized. I want people to trust me and my humanity.
Yeah.
But I also have to trust them.
Yes.
It was quite incredible. I'll tell a little bit more about my family. I'm a mixed bag in the sense that, on one hand, I have my very Baptist family, and that was the family that we were probably, I would say, closest to. The other side of it, my dad's mom is a lesbian that came out in 1978.
Wow.
So I was raised with a lesbian grandma on one side, as we were a very, very much a legacy family of the local Baptist University. And my little brother is also gay. So it's definitely been a wonderful journey, and it's interesting to be able to have both sides of life because I'm able to understand so many different angles and complexities.
Yeah, that's it. That background and family history. A grandma that came out in the 70s in a time. I mean, we're at the 65th Pride.
Yep.
Which I'm not very good at math. So that she was probably at some of the relatively first ones if she was out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then, to come full circle 65 years later and be here, that's pretty cool. And
So
to have that in your family.
It's actually was really cool because I went to my first HRC gala, and we were I went with my employer, and we were one of the main sponsors of the HRC gala this last year. So we were in the center of we were dead in the center, one table back on the center aisle, and my plus one was actually my grandma. So it was fun to really go through and watch her be able to see at her first HRC gala kind of her life work.
Yeah.
Coming into focus.
I bet that was really cool.
It's quite wonderful.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know we had talked a little bit, but I really wanted you to share that and really hear firsthand from you a little more detailed and deep.
My pleasure.
Especially today being at Pride, but also in general, because I think as we get into starting Pride Rotary, it's not always looked at as an old white male institution. And, part of why we do this show, part of the reason I joined was I've seen change from when I first got exposed to Rotary. But how, as you started thinking about starting the club and as you started it, how have you, did you have the same impression of what Rotary was?
Oh yeah. My mind works a little differently. I like to be the person that kind of sits back and takes it all in.
Yep.
And then just kind of from like a strategic standpoint starts to say, all right, let's change it up. So for example, our launch was at the Hilton. So it was at a traditional venue.
Yeah. And
within about 3 or 4 weeks, we quickly realized that wasn't us.
Yeah.
So that's when we moved it to Wise Acres. And your traditional Rotary Club, they're going to meet in the morning or afternoon.
Yep.
We're the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month at Wise Acres. A traditional club is 1 hour. It's at lunchtime. Everybody's got to get back to work.
Yes.
People show up at ours probably 5:30ish. We have our club from 6 to 7. And then we try to get out of Wise Acres about 7:30.
Yeah.
There's been times it's closer to 8.
I'm sure. Because you can drink because you're not going back to work. I'm not saying you are, but I'm sure there's drinking going on.
Their Aperol Spritz is absolutely phenomenal.
That's awesome.
And they're also, it's a farm to table restaurant. It was a setup that I'm one of those people that I want everybody who's really good at something to do whatever they're good at.
Yes.
So we tell the chefs how many people are going to be there, and it's a chef special for appetizers. And it's just wonderful to see what's coming out of the garden that week and what they're making, and it truly is a wonderful, unique experience.
Yeah, it sounds like. So you guys meet every second and fourth Wednesday of each month at Wise Acres at 5:30 is generally the start time.
Yeah.
Just so people that are interested in getting there.
Always look at our Facebook and Instagram and website. I say that because we do in the summer and around holidays, we might
changes.
Make a change, or we'll do a social event instead. But yeah, our home is Wise Acres.
Very cool. So as you started the process with Rotary, how long did that take? What, to start a club, just talk a little bit about the process before you even got to the first club meeting.
So we met July 1. It was 4 of us, and the former district governor was there, and Leif, who was the founding president, myself, and then another person. The 4 of us were there, and it was one of these. All right, we're gonna try to do a cause-based Pride Club.
Yeah.
So that was July 1st. We did that. We met at Chalbella. And then by middle of August, we have our launch event.
Yeah.
and there was a drag queen there. There was probably about 50, 60 people there. And this is Rotary. We are the world's largest international philanthropic service organization. And oh, by the way, we're going to be a service-based club. And our cause is going to be LGBTQ in town here. And it is really cool because we are the first in Minnesota, the third in the United States, and the fifth in the world.
Wow.
So when you think about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and doing that within, as you said, kind of the old white man's organization, it's quite a wonderful journey that we're on.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to be part of Rotary if they're not a kind, compassionate, generous human.
Yeah.
And I would also say that when you think about the marginalization of others within diversity, equity, and inclusion, everybody has been marginalized in their lifetime. And that is one thing that everybody can kind of relate to. And as we push the human race forward, I feel like what we're going towards is equality. We don't want to be, as my original toast said, we don't want to be identified by the gender we're attracted to, the color of our skin. We don't want to be any different aspect. We all want to be looked at face value for that, and to be able to do that within Rotary is quite a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. It's great I didn't know about the club until I had actually joined, and then as I started hearing about it, it was great to hear because I think maybe I'd already said this on here. I'd looked at Rotary. I've only been a Rotarian for a couple of years. I looked at it 10, 15 years ago, and I walked in, and this is not the room for me. And I am a white man, a straight white man, but that's not the type of place I want to be in. I want to be where there is difference, there's diversity, there's all walks of life. That's the type of organization, that's the type of place I want to be in. And when I rejoined, or not rejoined, when I re-looked at it, it had to change, at least at the clubs that I had looked at. But then I started hearing about Pride Rotary. And the biggest reason I heard about it is because you guys have had the biggest growth in membership. Is that correct?
Yes, we are continually getting new members. So we're also a club that we try to keep as low of a dues structure as we can.
Yeah.
If people are having hardships, it's not something that we don't want to be this elite group.
Yeah.
We want to be this group where it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter what you do, but it truly is people who want to do a service, philanthropic.
Yeah, they're called to serve.
Be part of that type of an organization. I also think when you think about each person, you have your time, your treasures, and your talents.
Yeah.
So if you have more time and you have less treasures, that's totally fine.
Yep.
And that's kind of when you think about from an equity standpoint, that's really what I think one of our main goals is.
Yeah. So how many people were at the first meeting?
I'm gonna say 50 to 60.
Oh wow.
We filled out the room. It was
first meeting and you had that many people already. That is so cool.
So when you think about, so we launched the club, right? So people are showing up.
Yeah, not
like,
just the club.
What is this?
But yeah, still.
And then you're on your quest to your founding 20.
Yeah.
Right. So you need to find within Rotary International, you have to have 20 people to be able to charter a club. So we got to that within March. And then as we were getting the application together, we started telling people, all right, are you going to be part of the founding group? And I want to say we shot up to 29 or 31 initially there.
Yeah, very cool.
So, yeah, it's really cool. It's also cool because a lot of our speakers are the different nonprofits in town. And when they come to speak, they become members because they realize how special we are. Another concept that we've definitely pushed, and it's one of those things that we all talk about a lot, and my year as president, I pushed a lot as well, is the concept of a chosen family.
Yeah.
Everybody has their family of origin, and then they have their chosen family. And we really want to be this wonderful group of people that just enjoys being around each other. We don't want to be cliquey. We want that kindness, compassion, generosity to be the focus.
Yeah.
So a week ago Friday, I decided, you know what, I'm going to have some people over for a happy hour. So I sent out a message on the day before, so Thursday, 24 hours notice, and said, anybody who wants to come, if you want to bring a bottle of something, bring it. If you don't, show up. There's going to be snacks. I mean, they also know that my wine cellar is quite fabulous, and there's always drinks.
They knew what
and,
they were getting into.
Yeah, I have my special martinis, and we had probably 20, 25 people there.
Yeah.
And it was fun because we were all pretty much within, let's call it 400 or 500 square feet. We were all in the kitchen and the dining room, and because we just love to be together.
Yeah. And that's, I think, what Rotary, even at my club, is it does that exact thing of being inviting. It seems uninviting when you go to or you think about it, but when you get there, people are always welcoming. I mean, I knew one or two people when I joined, and it was as if I knew people, because everybody wants the new person or newer people. They're doing everything they can, and it became quickly that these are the people I'm going to be around and enjoy, and they truly try and get to know you. It's not transactional or something. And networking is great, but it's not in that vein of I'm meeting you. So where is this transaction that could happen or something like that? And I think that's, some of the brilliance of Rotary in general is that there is networking. I mean, that's part of it. You get to be around people, but it's more of a family.
It's interesting you say that, because at my president-elect training, they asked how many people joined for networking purposes.
Yep.
And that's like 95% of the people.
Yeah.
But how many people stayed for networking purposes?
Yeah.
And nobody had their hands
Yep.
up, because it becomes this wonderful group of people. And it's interesting when a lot of times in life, people are together because of either religion, work, sports, something like that.
Yep.
But with Rotary, it really is about the service and the causes that you support, and having that desire to just do good.
Yeah, to serve. It's a different aspect of bringing people together, and I love it. So you guys have grown to, how many members are you at right now?
We're at about 42 last time I looked in Club Runner.
Wow.
So
you guys have really taken off. So, and it's been a year and a half or almost, or 2.5.
No, it's been like 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
Coming up.
In August, it'll be 3 years from the launch.
Wow.
So,
Very cool.
yeah.
After the break, I want to get into a little bit more about, you've spent the year as the club president. But before we kind of dive into some of that, what are some of the organizations and service projects that you guys are doing? And, where has it evolved over time? And, just tell me more about the service stuff you guys are doing.
So I would say right now, one of our main focuses is with homeless youth.
Yeah.
We've done, so this year, we've done care packages for the Link. We bought holiday gifts for the youth at Avenues. That was a really cool one, because these homeless youth said the brands, their age, the colors of what they actually wanted.
Yeah.
And we just went out and started shopping. We were told that we could not go over $150. So I've never sales shopped to make sure I action packed that $150 for each of those kids.
Yeah.
And we were able to wrap it as a group and do that. We fed 2 apartment buildings with Claire House. It was quite wonderful. We had Fat Lorenzo's. They partnered with us, and we just started feeding them. And it was also cool because so many people just bring, let's call it peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the homeless people. And there we are with, they're taking multiple plates back to their room because Fat Lorenzo's was like, oh no, we got to keep bringing you more and more and more. It was wonderful. So homelessness is definitely one of the pieces that is big to our club. So we also purchased, I know it was over 100, however many sleeping bags for Claire Housing. When you're homeless, your shelter becomes a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
And that was a concept that I really did not realize. I've never personally experienced homelessness.
It's impossible to, if you, and I haven't either, but how could you wrap your mind around it? And you can't have that understanding.
So we've done backpack. We worked with the Backpack Project. A year ago, May, our big project was building furniture for the link. So we furnished 9 apartments for them for their youth, and it was all brand new stuff. We assembled it together as a club. That was one of our big projects. We've done hygiene drives. We've bought sheets.
Yeah.
Like when these people are coming into finally having permanent housing, those different things like that. We probably do 4 or 5 different drives projects each year. Sometimes there's more, but homelessness has definitely, I would say, been our main. We've purchased coats for the youth at Avenues, just all kinds of different things.
Do you guys do a little bit of it at the club meetings, or do you guys schedule out projects where you're obviously you're going on site sometimes, that's different, but do you mix them together? How does your club work through some of the projects?
So there's many times that they'll actually people will bring different things, if it's a food drive or different things like that. There's times when we do purchase different things and bring them there. Building the furniture was cool because we were actually in the apartment buildings.
Wow.
And we had the trucks of IKEA stuff delivered, and then we just start building.
Following the manual.
Oh my goodness. That is not my gift, is following instructions to that level.
That's cool. Well, we're going to take a break here in a second. And as we come back from break, I want to kind of dive into your as president and where you've taken the club and as you're transitioning. This is your last day as president. So
it is.
We'll dive into that after the break here.
Sounds good.
You are listening to Searching for Service, and we'll be back.
Community-minded people who want to serve their areas with the support of an international organization. Join Rotary to find service. Join Rotary to find inclusion. Join Rotary to find leadership. Join Rotary to find fun. Join Rotary to find friendship. Join Rotary to find a better version of the world. Find a Rotary Club near you at Rotary.org and click on Club Finder. There is a club out there for everyone. Find your fit with Rotary. Rotary.org.
Up your game and show off your Rotary Club spirit. Did you know there's a one-stop shop for all things Rotary apparel? Russell Hampton Company is the world's largest provider of licensed Rotary branded merchandise. From apparel like hats, jackets, and shirts to banners, tents, and awards, they have it all. And most things are customizable. And they can handle orders of all sizes. Russell Hampton Company also has deep connections to Rotary. In 1920, the company founder was part of Rotary Club number 1 in downtown Chicago. Russell Hampton Company models their business on the Rotary 4-way test and gives back 10% of all purchases to Rotary, supporting its global work. So the next time you and your club are out on a service project, arrive with the right swag from Russell Hampton Company to promote your club and Rotary. Even non-Rotarians will want some of your cool hats, shirts, and jackets. Learn more at bestclubsupplies.com. That's bestclubsupplies.com.
For decades, eradicating polio worldwide has been Rotary's cornerstone cause. We are incredibly close to ridding the globe of this virus, but we need everyone's help to get us to the goal. World Polio Day is October 24th. Please consider making a new donation to Polio Plus or increasing your already generous giving. Go to endpolio.org to be a part of this historical eradication of polio. You will help get vaccinations to the most remote parts of our world and help fulfill a promise we made to end polio now. 2 drops and it stops.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Join Rotary Rotary to serve your community and the world with honesty, fairness, and goodwill. Our 4-way test guides our actions every day. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? These values underpin our commitment to making a positive impact on the world. Learn more about your local Rotary Club and stop searching and start serving. And the song you're hearing now was performed by Rotary Club of Dar es Salaam, Oyster Bay.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Rotary is a great place to get involved in your community and meet passionate groups of people, as well as individuals dedicated to service and fellowship. At Rotary, we believe in the power of teamwork to bring positive change. As a member, you will have the opportunity to participate in exciting projects that address local and global challenges. From supporting educational initiatives to environmental conservation, we tackle it all. Joining a Rotary Club means becoming part of a diverse family of individuals who share a passion for giving back and having fun while making positive impact. With projects and events that enrich your community, there's something for everyone, from local initiatives to international collaborations. It doesn't matter what culture or country you come from. What matters is that you want to belong to a group that strengthens communities and creates lasting change. There's a place for everyone at Rotary, regardless of age or background. Learn more by searching for a Rotary Club in your community and visiting. Together, let's make a difference. Rotary, people of action.
Hello and welcome back to Searching for Service, brought to you by Rotary District 5950. We're here live at Pride downtown at Loring Park, and I have the pleasure of having Joe Swall, the co-founder and current one day left club president of Twin Cities Pride Rotary. I didn't mention to start, you guys have a booth here. Where's the booth?
We are in the yellow section at number 251, right by the lake.
Right by the lake. I did stop by this morning, so if you're coming down here, check it out. Stop by their booth. How many years have you guys been at Pride?
This is our 3rd year at Pride.
Very cool. And how has the weekend gone so far? I know I ran into you yesterday, but you've had a busy weekend.
It has. Our booth, I was there yesterday morning, and it was packed. We were giving out some tattoos. I have one on my arm right now. There was some jewel bedazzling going on. They wanted to bedazzle me a little bit. I've never been bedazzled before, but there's a first, and it was yesterday. We're also giving out different individual flags. So ones that are for your progressive pride flag, the lesbian flag, gay flag, bisexual, asexual, all of them. We tried to find as many as we could find.
Yeah, very inclusive. That's very cool. And over the year, I haven't been here for 3 years. Have you guys evolved the booth? Have you changed it a lot? Or I'm sure you just kind of get better at doing it, right?
Oh yeah, more stuff shows up. I mean, we've realized how much people love the individual flags.
Yeah.
I'd say at Pride, one of the things, people are here to be an individual, to show who they are. As I said before, nobody wants to be put into a box.
Yeah.
So to be able to have different flags, so many people actually, if their hair's up or in a ponytail, they start putting flags in their hair. Yeah. And it's like, there you go. Yeah. There's one right out there, right there. So it's quite wonderful.
Yeah. It's been a great year here. It's been as busy as I can ever remember. We got great weather today. Yesterday was a little windy, but it's amazing how many people come through the gates, or not gates, come through the park here.
It's absolutely wonderful.
I heard Andy say yesterday 250,000 to 300,000 each day.
Sounds about right.
It's been incredible. Well, so I wanted to just ask a little bit. So this is your last day as being club president. How's the year gone? I know there's not always the fun stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, but what have you enjoyed and what was your vision and how has it gone?
So for me, my vision was the first 2 years we launched the club.
Yeah.
And that was getting everything, kind of getting the rocket ship off the ground.
Yep.
Well, now we want to just become the space shuttle, right? Yep. So it became, this year was a lot of building things out from like a board standpoint, kind of understanding, all right, we do want to do a social activity or a service activity, at least one a month, if not
Yeah.
average 1.5 per month. We got bylaws, we got our constitution done. So I would say from my executive board, that was quite wonderful to get that whole piece done.
Yep.
Another thing that's been interesting this year as we started looking at our president line is, so I did it, my vice president, her name is Amanda Chance, and we really did this year kind of like co-presidents.
Yeah.
I was the president, she was the vice president. And what we're realizing is when you think about the model of Rotary going forward and how we really think the club is going to function, co-presidents is probably going to be it.
Yeah.
So our next presidents taking over are Brian and Michael. They're the next presidents, and then their incoming presidents will be Adam and Rebecca. So it's also been pretty cool that we've had both queer people and allies on the board.
Yeah.
Because when you want to be part of a movement, kind of with the four-way test, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship?
Yep.
And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Really, when you want to have a movement, you need the allies.
Yeah.
And having a club that everybody supports the cause, but your gender attraction template isn't something that is something that everybody has to be the same.
Yeah, that's very cool. When did you was it kind of through your presidency having your vice president Chance with you that you're like, this is probably a better model? Just listening and I had a lot of club presidents on and talking to them through it's overwhelming every time. So when did you come to that realization that this really functions better as a two-person? When we took it over, even when we launched it, so Leif was the first president and his partner Vol. Yeah.
I mean, without Vol, he was our PR communications person. He was the guy taking pictures. I mean, Leif couldn't have done it without Vol.
Yeah.
Right. And I couldn't have done it without Chance.
Yeah.
And it quickly became, once we heard that co-presidents is a thing,
Yeah.
it became, well, this is really what it needs to be. Because when you think of people with full-time jobs are now going to start to take over to be fiduciaries and run a nonprofit organization. There's only so much time in a day.
I hear.
And when it's one of your passion projects, you want to give it your all. But so it was one of those things that once we realized that it's the way forward.
Yeah, I can see that model being just even. I haven't been a club president in the executive line, but being on some projects where it's 6 months of every week, sometimes 3 hours, the amount of time just going into some events and projects we've done. I can't even fathom how much more as the president. So I love that idea. What are you most proud of in the last year?
I'm most proud of the group of people that we are.
Yeah.
The being a chosen family. We really are there for each other. Yeah. If I call anybody up in my club and say, guess what, I need you right now, they're there. Yeah. And they know if they call me, I'm there too. Yeah. And to really have fostered that type of a community and have that, someone told me that part of my legacy is the word love and how much it is said at each of our meetings. I want to say it was one of our assistant district governors came in and they go, I think I've heard people say, I love you, love, love, probably 50 to 100 times. And it's like, that really defines us.
Yeah, what a great club culture. That's so cool. You've spent the year, you spent the year as president. Where do you want to see, and as I've gotten to know you just briefly, you strike me as somebody that is a go-getter, but wants to see, wants to continue to see Rotary have clubs like this, but in general evolve. So where do you see and where do you want to see Rotary go? not
re-
just at your club.
I really think Rotary, as we kind of look at what is next for Rotary, diversity, equity, and inclusion, making sure that everybody feels that they are part, that everybody feels that they have something to bring to the table, that they have a purpose, that it doesn't matter if you're coming out of homelessness or you are the CEO, president, owner of a business.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that having causes unite everybody. And I think that's what's interesting is for so many years, it was the location. So
Yep.
the Rotary Club of Edina,
Yep.
the Minneapolis Rotary Club, St. Paul, Stillwater, whatever it is it's been very location based.
Yeah.
And if that's what your club is really passionate about, I think that's awesome.
Yep.
But I also think that finding people that have a cause that's what binds them together. For me, diversity, equity, and inclusion, when you think internationally and where everybody is at on the continuum of going towards being equal humans. And that's really, I think that's really important. One of my favorite phrases lately is the emphasis is on what's syllable, meaning the emphasis is on what's syllable. And what we choose in life that we can emphasize, you can't emphasize everything.
Yeah.
You have to be very deliberate and intentional. And I think that Rotary going forward, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we need to see more ethnic groups in there. We need to see the projects that we are funding. We need to understand that equality is and fair to all concerned is really all concerned.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, as I look at what my Rotary journey will probably be,
Yep.
I will say I'll probably be on some kind of DEI part of council at Rotary International
Yeah.
at some point in time here. So that it really is where my passions are lying right now.
I love it. I love it. And I think Rotary it needs it. You know, what Rotary, we've said it, is thought of as this old white man organization, and membership has been stagnant because of that. And it was in the 80s, late 80s that it first started accepting women. There's, let's be frank, behind the eight ball from a long time when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's part of the reason that it's had stagnation within membership. And I think, what you bring up is exactly how, if the organization is going to go back into growth, is where it starts.
Well, and I think that's one thing that's really cool about District 5950. When you look at the district governors since I've been here, right? We've had an Asian woman, then we had a black man, and then we've had two women who are coming up.
Yep.
Now after that we're going to have a white man, and then our former president Laith is a gay man, and he's going to be out there being the president. From our club and the Egan Club. So it's definitely one of those things that I love our district, that they see the value in that and how important it is to really show everybody being equal humans.
Yeah. We are fortunate, our district, doing this show, we've been exposed to international, local, national, and so much of some of even the big projects that have happened have come out of our district. It's been very cool to see, but even some of the non-traditional clubs, I mean, there's been some of it, but there's been a lot more because of the district leadership over time identifying them.
Well, and that's one thing that I know that our club really wants to start pushing, is that how the Rotary International Foundation is set up is that our big projects are international.
Yeah.
And for our club here, homelessness, for queer people, and really the HIV pandemic really has ties to homelessness as well. And we're really seeing that there's a lot of work that needs to be done here as well. So I'd say that our club is going to be one that we want to start doing large projects here in America.
Yeah.
And looking at maybe it's not building a latrine over in Africa.
Yep.
Maybe it's funding housing for homeless youth here in town.
Yeah.
And I also want to say youth homelessness, when we think about making sure that we're beneficial to all concerned, we're a queer club that youth homelessness is one of our big pushes. About 10% of all youth right now identify as being LGBTQ queer. And about 40% of all homeless youth identify as being queer. So homelessness disproportionately affects the LGBTQ population.
Yeah, and not just the homeless, but what that leads to. So when you're talking 40% of youth homelessness, that leads to whether it's trafficking,
Yep.
Abuse. There's just so much that comes about from that, and then that when you can identify that there's 40% are coming from 10% of the population. I mean, those numbers alone just speak to how important and how big of an issue it is right here at home.
And when you're able to have some type of a home, you're then able to mental, emotional health, physical health. You're able to have the stability to go get a job. And really, most people don't want to be homeless.
No.
They want to figure out a way to get out of the cycle that they are in. And truly, that is what, in my mind, pushing the human race forward, where we go to equality. And that's why when I say we really want to make sure that we look after the marginalized, and really think about how we can just be more kind, loving, compassionate people.
Yeah, I love it. So as you talk about pressing forward with not just Pride Rotary, but in general, how do you start to bring more diversity, equity, inclusion? Let's start at the district level as you're now transitioning from president. To, what is the word for the year after? I
Past president.
Thank you. But that your role doesn't stop. I know that.
No, I am past president, and I'm going to take my next year and just enjoy it with a bit of a deep breath. Yeah. But we are hosting the 2029 Rotary International Convention. Yeah. So when we really think about what we want to do in our next steps forward, the time is now to start figuring that out. My club, what we decided with our passing bylaws, as well as that we want to have a group that looks at a 1, 2, and 3 year plan. So that we really start, when we start looking at funding and what we want to do, really what is going to be next. So I know that our hope is that we have a nice big project that we're ready to do in 2029 to kind of have a definite signature project.
Yeah, and then get more of a spotlight too. So I mean, I come from a marketing background, but that's a good timing because of that.
But it's also cool because I've been on different talks for Rotary across the zone and a half, because our club concept is different, right? We're more of a happy hour club.
Yeah.
We meet twice a month. We want to push service and the social aspects. It doesn't need to be at 7 a.m. Every Wednesday. So really what we're doing with the whole concept. So what's neat is as we're able to talk about this, we're also able to talk about the cause and the mission, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have about 5 minutes left, and if somebody is kind of on the fence for coming to a club meeting, just tell them more. You kind of talked about it. It's you got great food. That always helps.
Well, of course.
And it's more of a social aspect, but just trying to get somebody to take the leap to come and join you guys. Well, what would you say to that person right now?
I want them to just come to a meeting, show up, walk in the front door, and tell them that Joe said to come. Joe said to stop on by.
Yeah.
You'll get a hug when you walk in the door, and we'll show you where the cash bar is. Your first meeting is on us. And just come and experience it. If it's not your thing, I understand.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But I also, if you're a person out there that wants to do good within the queer community, that has a trans child or an LGBTQ child and wants that support as well. If you're a person who just wants a community, just stop on by. It's yeah.
You bring up, whether it's a child, and you really see at Pride today or the last 2 days, so many parents with children that are, and most here I think are probably past the what am I going to do, or how do I don't understand this. But you see in a child how important the support and understanding of a parent, and it's been beautiful for me to see all day, the parents with kids that, the support, and you can see the kid be themselves here.
And that's wonderful that they have those parents.
Yeah.
I want to also say that when we put the emphasis on a different syllable, the parent there then needs their support too.
Yeah.
Because if the parent is always emptying out their cups,
Yep.
they have that potential to become depleted.
Yeah.
And that's what's so wonderful is that we're able to just meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
And I will also say for the parents that are listening that want to know what is the roadmap to having a child that has a non-heterosexual gender attraction template, and I would say unconditional loving kindness is the key.
Yeah.
There's nobody's going to be perfect, but love really does cover pretty much all.
Yeah, I love that. Well, we got 2 minutes left here. What I wanted to end on is, in general, take Rotary out of this. What message do you want to leave with listeners that are here, that have tuned in or watching, in general, connected to Pride or not?
I want everybody out there to be proud and be you, to just know that the world is better with you in it. And that's the wonderful part about the world and humanity, is all of us being individuals, the uniqueness of us, and be proud of that.
Yeah, I love it. I was excited to have you join today. I thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
The coming out story. It's goosebumps to hear it and how you did that and the bravery that you had. So I just want to thank you very much for joining us, sharing your story, talking about Pride and Pride Rotary. And thank you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
You have been listening to Searching for Service. I'm your host, Chad Larson, and we'll see you next week.
Of the things we think, say, or do.
Is it the truth? Is